Good morning, one and all. Welcome to our online classes and welcome to our social studies. We come to the last topic, children. We discussed about the slow movements and sudden movements. Okay, what are called slow movements? Is the formation of crust and the moving of the continental plates comes under slow movements. Then what is the sudden movements? Is the volcanoes and earthquakes comes under the sudden movements which will distract in many ways. And also we discussed about the volcanoes. Okay, volcanoes are places on the earth surface in which molten materials from the mantle comes onto the earth surface is called volcanoes. Okay, and we discussed about the intrusive landforms and extrusive landforms. What do you mean by intrusive landforms? The lava which will not come onto the surface of the earth, it cools under the earth is called intrusive landforms. The lava which comes out of the earth's surface is called extrusive landforms. Not all the active volcanoes comes out. Some comes like fissures. You can see in the Deccan Plateau, formation of extensive lava plateau. And also we discussed about the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, high number of earthquakes and volcanoes are occurred in the Pacific Rim, the edges of the Pacific Ocean basin. Almost 3/4 of the active volcanoes comes in this Pacific Rim only. The theory of plate tectonics point out the solution for this. That is, near to the boundaries of the plates, there will be huge earthquakes and volcanoes will occur. That is why we can call this as a Pacific Ring of Fire. At last, we discussed about the external processes. The shaping of the landform by wind and water is called third order landforms. Okay, what are the examples of third order landforms? As curved mountains, sand dunes, delta, etc. called the third order landforms. The processes like weathering, erosion, deposition and transportation largely responsible for this formation. This is called denudation process. Denudation process is a continuous process in which the landform will change very slowly. And also we discussed about the geomorphic cycle or erosion cycle. The structure of plains, plateaus and mountains keep on changing. Process known as the geomorphic cycle or erosion cycle. Okay, up to this we are completed successfully. Coming to the next topic, air and water transform the surface of the earth. What is the topic is about? How air and water transform the surface of the earth. Okay, listen carefully, children. Okay, already we discussed about how the rocks are formed because of molten material which are present in the mantle comes out of the earth. Rocks are formed due to the molten materials comes out of the mantle on the earth. Over millions of years, these rocks are shaped into valleys and plains. Okay, the river valleys cut from the mountains and plateaus. Okay, how this one must happen? What I told. Okay, how the rocks are formed? Rocks are formed due to the molten material comes onto the earth. Millions of years, these rocks are shaped into valleys and plains. The valleys cuts from the mountains and plateaus. Then how this one was happened? Actually, hard primary rock is broken into smaller pieces. The smaller pieces cut from the parent rock carry low down deposited was followed as weathering, erosion, transportation and deposition. What I told, the hard primary rock are broken into smaller pieces. These smaller pieces cut from the parent rock and goes down, carried to the lower down to other places, deposited there. This process followed as weathering, erosion, deposition and transportation. We come to the first one, weathering. Okay, withering is a process in which the breaking of the racks takes place by atmospheric forces or weather forces. Okay, withering means breaking down of the racks by atmospheric force or weather force. These racks, when exposed to heat, it expand. Again, when you expose it to cool, again it contract. This was done day and night and year after year and in summer and winter season also. At last the rock is ready to break. Water and moisture also helps in this process. What are they? Water and moisture. When water reacts with the racks, immediately the racks became weakened, broken. It is called weathering. The process in which the racks are weakened and broken is called weathering. Okay, what is weathering? The process in which the racks are the process in which the racks are weakened and broken is called weathering. If you look at the large cracker rack, if you see the outer part of the rack and if you see the inner part of the rack, there we can find different colors. The outer part is have different color because of the outer part changes due to the process of weathering. And also you can find you cut this outer part into small pieces. Inner part of small pieces have one color and outer part of small pieces have one color. The outer part changed because of the process weathering. This is about the weathering. It is a process in which breaking of the racks takes place by atmospheric forces or weather forces. When the racks are exposed to heat, it expand. When the racks are kept in cool, it contract. And expand and contract after day and night, year and year. In the summer season and winter season, at last the rack is ready to break. Water and moisture also helps in this process. When water reacts with the rack, then the rack is ready to break. That is why this is called withering. What do you mean by withering? The process in which the racks are weakened and at last it will break. It is called withering. If you look at the large rack, we have different types of colors. If you look at the outer part of the rack, it has another color. If you look at the inner part of the rack, it has different color. This is because the outer part of the color is different because due to the process of weathering. And you can also take small chips from the rack. You can find the color in the outer chip and the inner of the chip. Okay, this is about the weathering. Breaking of the racks is called weathering. Okay, you have to. Breaking of the racks by atmospheric forces or weather forces is called weathering. Okay, coming to the next topic, erosion. Flowing water and wind have a lot of power. Cuts the racks and top part of the soil. Okay, flowing water and wind. Okay, erosion. The flowing water and wind have a lot of power. It cuts the top part of the soil and also it cuts the racks. We have different types of water. Of rain, river, and we have groundwater, and we have sea waves, and we have glaciers. Okay, the water is how many types? What are they? We have rain, river, glaciers, sea waves, and groundwater. Similarly, we have different types of winds. We have, what are they? We have different types of wind. We have storms, tufan, gusts, wind, steady. Okay, this is about the types of rain, types of water, and types of wind. Okay, the erosion means the active wearing away, means cutting away. The active wearing away of the earth's surface. This moving agent is called erosion. Erosion means the active wearing away. Wearing away means cutting away. The active wearing away. The active wearing away of Earth's surface by this moving agent is called, by this moving agents is called erosion. The active wearing away of the Earth's surface by this moving agents is called erosion. Okay, what I told, flowing wind and water, we have lot of force which we can cut the soil, and which we can cut the top part of the soil. And I told about different types of water, rain, river, glaciers, sea waves, and different types of wind also, storms, gust, wind, etc. And what I told at last, the active cutted away, the active wearing away of the earth's surface by this moving agent, which are called moving agent. Wind and water is called moving agent, is called erosion. Okay, we completed the two processes. What are they? Weathering and erosion. Come to the next, transportation. Okay, the eroded material means the cutted material in the form of small rock, gravel, mud, soil is transported, carried by the winds and water, is called transportation. The eroded material is the cutted material, which are small rocks, soil, mud, gravel, are carried by the winds and water, is called transportation. Rivers and winds and even the waves cut the soil and rocks from one place and take them into a faraway place, sometimes hundreds of kilometers. What I told you about transportation, the cutted material, which are small rock, soil, mud, gravel, are carried by the process of wind and water, is called transportation. Rivers and winds and even the waves cut the soil and takes from one place to the faraway places, even sometimes hundreds of kilometers also. This is called transport. So coming to the last topic of this, how air and water transform the surface of the earth. What is the last one? Deposition. Okay, when the winds and rivers slow down, it doesn't have the force to carry the materials from one place to the another place. At last, these are dumped in at a particular place. This dumped materials forms the plains and the river basins. This was transported by rivers to the sea, where layer after layer deposits in the bottom. It deposits and gather at the bottom. At last, it transforms into sedimentary rocks. This is about the deposition. I am saying once again, when wind and water slow down, it deposits the materials in a particular place. Okay, it does not have the force to carry into a large distance. At last, it forms the floodplains and is actually transported into the sea by the rivers. When layer after layer it deposited at the bottom, then it transforms into sedimentary rocks. We discussed about the weathering, erosion, transportation and deposition. So these four processes takes place simultaneously. Depends on the nature of the slope, structure of the rock, local climate, and interference by humans. Four processes are done simultaneously throughout the world. Depends on the nature of the slope, structure of the rock, local climate, and interference by humans. Okay, this is about the topic. I think almost you understood very well. Okay, coming to the next topic, work of water. Can you think the course of a river, where the river will start and where the river will end, and at that time how the rocks and everything will cut and will transport and deposit, how it will happen? Is there any lot more power towards the water? Yes, we can see some examples. The work of water begins in a very high mountains. With a source of water will begin most of in a high mountains. Okay, from the high mountains, okay, the flow of river is more speed. The flow of river is more speed when it comes downwards. Okay, the flow of speed is more when it comes downwards, and it cuts the mountain vertically and forms the V-shaped valleys, which is wide in the top and which is narrow in the bottom. By this we can understand that water have a great force, that even it can carry a large amount of rocks from one place to the another place. Okay, this is about the work of water. Okay, how? First of all, the source of the water starts in the high mountains. When the water comes, if you have a steep slope, the water will come very speed and cuts the mountain vertically. As a result, deep valleys are formed, which have narrowed the bottom and widened the top. By this we can understand that water have a great force to carry even the large type of rocks also from one place to the another place. Shift means speed. Just now we completed about the work of water. Coming to the next, we will discuss about the gorges. Okay, when the rocks are very hard, the river cuts into a narrow valley. The sides are so sharp that the gorges are formed. The Baisar Gorge in the river Godavari, and we have the Indus Gorge in Jammu and Kashmir. The gorge is almost equal in width as well as top and the bottom. Equal width in top and bottom. And what are the famous gorges? Baisar Gorges. Baisar Gorge. Where is it? In AP, Andhra Pradesh. And Indus Gorge in Jammu and Kashmir. This is about the gorges. When the rocks are very hard, the river cuts into a narrow valley. It's are very steep, sharp. The gorges are formed. We have two gorges, the Baisar Gorge in AP and the Indus Gorge in Jammu and Kashmir. If you look at the gorges, it have equal width in top and the bottom. Okay, next, come to the next, we will discuss about the canyon. Canyon has steep side slopes. Similarly, it has a deep like a gorge. Okay, it has a wide in the top rather than the down. It is wider in the top rather than the bottom. Which is the biggest canyon in the world? The Grand Canyon. Where is it? In the river Colorado in Venezuela. What is the capital city of Venezuela? Caracas. Okay, this is about the canyon. The canyon have steep side slopes, sharp side slopes, and have wider in the top rather than the bottom. Which is the biggest canyon in the world? The Grand Canyon is the biggest canyon in the world, which is located on the river Colorado. It has a length up to 466 kilometers and 1.6 kilometers. It has a depth, and it has a width up to 188 meters to 29 kilometers. The last waterfall. Okay, Okay, the waterfall we can see which are coming from the mountain areas. When the waterfall will come with a great force and digs out on the down of the rock and forms the plunge pool. The last waterfall. Okay, the waterfall we can see which are coming from the mountain areas. When the waterfall will come with a great force and digs out on the down of the rock and forms the plunge pool. First we discuss about the V-shaped valleys. It has narrow at the bottom and it has wide at the top. High mountains, how the river is cut at the mountains vertically. So we discussed, and next we discussed about the gorges. Okay, we discussed two important gorges. What are the Indus Gorge and Baisar Gorge? Very very important. Indus Gorge in Jammu and Kashmir, Baisar Gorge in AP. It has equal width in top and bottom. We discussed about the canyon. Canyon has steep side slopes and have deep like a gorge only. In the canyon we have wide at the top rather than the down. The biggest canyon in the world is the Grand Canyon, which is located on the river Colorado of Venezuela country. First, if the river enters into the plain and it will become gentle. When the river becomes gentle, the flowing of the water decreases and it deposits the silt and sand in the banks of the river. And when the floods come again, it cuts into the soil. When there is no floods, then it deposits the silt on the river banks. Thus, the deposited silt and sand creates the floodplains. When there is no floods, then it deposits the silt on the river banks. Thus, the deposited silt and sand creates the floodplains. And we have the plains in the Ganga plain. We have Krishna, Godavari plains also. We have. When the floodwater came again, the river bed filled with the silt and sand, and this creates cuts into a new path. This the river constantly changing the course of a plain. In its floodplains, the river forms a meanders. Okay, very very important. Okay, gentle turns, snake-like structure we have like this. We have the meanders are formed. This is called loop. Due to the deposition of silt near to the loop, okay, due to the deposition along with the meander, the sides of the loops is deposited, then it comes closer and closer and it cuts away and forms the small lake. It is called Oxbow Lake. Oxbow Lake. The river reaches to the sea. Before reaching the sea, the fine material is deposited in the mouth of the sea, and in which the delta is formed. It will get more and more in the delta region than the plateau region. Delta is originated from the Greek word. The symbol of the delta is okay. This is about the topic what I told. Okay, as the river enters into plain, the slope will become gentle and the flow of river will be decreased and deposit the silt and sand into the river bank. When the floods came again, it cuts the soil. When the flood was not came, it deposits the silt and sand on the river bank. Gradually forms the floodplains. We have the floodplains, the Godavari floodplains, and we have the Krishna floodplains. The water comes again, the riverbed becomes very high and it cuts into the river cuts into a new path. The river constantly changing course in a plain. In it, the river forms a meanders. Due to the deposition in the meanders, in the side of the meanders, then the meanders will come closer and closer and cuts the river and forms a Oxbow Lake. Before the water is reaching towards the sea, it forms a fertile material is deposited near to the sea, then forming a delta. Delta is a Greek word which can represent as a symbol of like this. Okay, this is about the topic. Hope you understood very well. First of all, what I told, weathering I told, erosion, deposition and transportation, and next I told about the work of water. I told about the gorges, valleys, canyons, okay, plunge pool. I told Oxbow Lake. Okay, these are very important. Okay, whatever the important points I told, try to underline the textbook and concentrate more and more. Thank you.